Hi guys, I'm Layla. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I went from this to this and give you all my secrets so that you can become a fitter, healthier version of yourself. Just a quick trigger warning, if you are struggling with disordered eating or body image, or you just find these kind of topics particularly sensitive, please feel free to skip this video. I have so many other videos on my channel, on my other socials. Please go and enjoy one of those instead. I also just want to clarify, I'm not a professional. This is just what has worked for me personally and some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the last couple of years. I really want to emphasize that I take such a gentle approach. Oh, hello. And we just want to emphasize that this video is about a gentle approach to health and fitness. Quick fixes are not something that I would ever want to promote. And the way that I have kept real, sustainable, long-term results is by taking small, manageable steps throughout my fitness journey. So in this video, we're going to go into my journey and my story with struggling with disordered eating and how I ended up losing 50 pounds and managing to keep it off and achieve my dream body. I'm going to talk about the mindset shift that has to occur in order to see real results and be able to sustain them. And I will also go into the specifics of exactly what I eat, how I manage my nutrition and my diet, and also the specific workouts that help me achieve my goals. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So when it comes to my journey, it has been a rough ride. Now I'm going to insert a graph on screen right now. And this might be able to help you gather a little bit of insight into the way that my weight has fluctuated over the years. A bit of background, I was a dancer, I trained in ballet, tap, jazz, contemporary, all different styles when I was like a kid and a teenager. I was very, very active, did a lot of sports. I was always very petite, had a very toned, athletic body. That's the body that I was used to growing up. I didn't say that I ate particularly well. I was vegetarian for like 10 years, but I was always very, very active and I had a very fast metabolism, so I could kind of eat whatever I wanted and my weight would never change. It was never something that I struggled with up until it got to a certain point. And I know that this is quite common. They sometimes call it your second puberty for women. When you get to like your early 20s, you go through a big shift in hormonal changes. It might even be when you go on hormonal birth control, which can affect your weight. A lot of people see big changes in their weight at this time, and I was definitely one of those people. I was definitely less active. I was struggling a lot more with my mental health, and I did actually develop some very disordered eating behavior. So it would definitely fall under the categorization of binge eating. I was such an emotional eater, and that was my way of really dealing with my mental health, my depression, my anxiety, and the stress that I was going through. This time I was at university and I was struggling a lot. I was finding it quite difficult, and food for me was my comfort. As you can see on the graph, this led me to go through a dramatic increase in weight. In a year, I gained 40 pounds, and that's where you can kind of see this dramatic increase on the graph. I think because I was so used to being so petite and in shape without really having to try, this was a massive shock for me. I really, really struggled with my body image. I remember I'd gone from being like a size 6, a size 4 or 6 in clothes, to being like a size 12, 14, which I'm only 5'2". So for me, that was such a big change. Like when you're shorter, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but when you're shorter and you put on weight, it's a lot more noticeable. So I believe that I was still beautiful no matter what size I was. I was just so internally unhappy with myself and the way that I looked and the way that my body felt. I noticed, you know, these symptoms of putting on weight. Like I had more acid reflux, my thighs were like chafing together, which I'd never had like these kind of problems before. And then it got to a point where my weight kind of plateaued, and I did manage to lose a little bit. So I managed to lose a little bit of weight, but then, because this is what often happens when you're in a binge restrict kind of cycle, I put the weight back on and even more. I didn't keep it off for long at all. You can see on the graph, it literally went down and then went straight back up. That was because I was going for a quick fix. I was trying to reduce my calories, trying to diet, punishing myself because I really, really was not happy with myself. I hated who I was and who I'd become. And this caused me to punish myself and restrict. And as we know, you often get into a binge restrict cycle. Studies show that a lot of people, when they lose weight, they end up putting on more. They put the weight back on and then end up putting on more than they originally were as well, which is exactly what happened with me. I wasn't even just back to square one. I was back to square one and then some. It was at my complete rock bottom here. It felt worse than I ever had in my entire life. And honestly, when I look at photos and videos from this time, I physically cannot recognize the person that I was there. And it's not even necessarily because of the way that I looked. It was just the person that I was, the person that I'd become. And I was so unhappy in myself that I couldn't even face myself. Every time that I would get ready to go out, to leave the house, I would be having a breakdown. I would be crying my eyes out. I would be just having an absolute meltdown about leaving the house because none of my clothes looked nice on me. Nothing fit me the way that I felt like it was supposed to. And I just felt like I was the ugliest person on the planet, which is so sad. It makes me really sad to look back at that version of Layla that was just so unhappy with herself and the way that she looked, and also placed so much importance on the way that she looked as well. I just had really unhealthy habits at that time. I was going out and drinking a lot because I was at uni. I was going out like most nights of the week, and alcohol can really make you hold on to fat and put on weight. And then because I was drinking, I was getting a lot of takeaways and eating really unhealthy food. And of course, the binge eating, comfort eating, emotional eating was still deeply ingrained in the way that I was living my life. Then I remember when I kind of hit that peak of the heaviest that I'd ever been, that was when I started into this cycle of dramatic restriction, of trying to diet. I think I even tried keto at one point and tried a juice cleanse the next. I was just trying anything and everything to get that weight off and to punish myself for the binging, for the going out, for the drinking, for the eating that I'd been doing that had caused me to get to that weight. At this point, I had a gym in my building, so it was a lot easier for me to go to the gym, and I'd also just got Theo at this point. So because I was walking every day with the dog, I think that's something that definitely helped me as well. I was trying to go on runs, but this kind of exercise and diet was not coming from a place of loving myself. It was coming from a place of punishing myself. So that's what I really want you to take note of right now, that what I was doing to myself to lose this weight, even though maybe I looked healthier when I'd lost some of the weight, it was not healthy. This was coming from a place of punishment and hating myself, and not from a place of love and wanting to nourish myself and wanting to take care of myself. I just want you to note the distinction between those two mindsets because it's important, I promise. Then you can see we managed to lose a little bit more weight than the last time, and I was looking and feeling a little bit better. I still wasn't at my goal because I wanted to be at my pre-weight gain set point, and I still was not at my goal yet. But because I'd seen a little bit of progress, I think I got this like internal kind of validation that I'd made some progress on the weight loss journey. And then guess what happened? I let it all go because I've been in this cycle of binge restrict. And now after the restrict, guess what comes? It's a binge. I started emotional eating again. I was going through some difficult things in my life. I did not feel aligned with my purpose. And because the weight that I'd lost, it hadn't come from a place of love. It had come from a place of punishing and hating myself. It wasn't sustainable. The diet, the restriction, the punishment, it was not sustainable. So I started to put weight on again. Now, at this point, you can see that I'm starting to put weight on. I'm starting to put more weight on again. But it got to a point, you can literally see it got to a point where I just said, no, enough is enough. I refuse to be in this binge restrict, weight gain, weight loss cycle any longer. And this point was just over 2 years ago now. I'm going to be really honest. The thing that triggered me to get to this point where I said enough is enough, I am not being in this cycle anymore, it was heartbreak. Now, I don't know, maybe that's not what you're expecting. I know that it can be a big motivator for some people, and it really was for me. The heartbreak that I went through completely changed my life. It shattered my old version of reality. It shattered all of my old mindsets, and it forced me to become this new version of myself, the Layla that you see today. And that was the point where I really began a journey of self-love. It has allowed me to not only lose the weight, but I have kept that weight off. And you can see by the graph that I am at my original start point now, which was always my goal. And I honestly and truly believe that the reason I was able to achieve this after so much up and down, you can see the evidence. I was up and down, binge restrict, putting on weight, losing weight. The real reason that I was able to lose this weight, keep it off, and stay this version of myself is because of the mindset shift that I had around the food that I was eating, the exercise that I was doing, the love that I had for myself, the reason that I was doing this, and my internal why and my motivation, that is the reason why I was able to achieve this goal and stick to it and make it a sustainable long-term result. When you look at my before and you look at my after, the real difference is the intentions and the mindset behind it. Over here, I used to hate how I looked. I used to want to change everything about myself, and I hated myself and wanted to punish myself. Whereas the version of myself that got myself to here is one of self-love, one that wanted to nourish my body because I deserved that, one that wasn't bothered about the way that I looked, and I just wanted to take care of myself anyway. I wanted to move my body, I wanted to exercise because it's good for me and because it's healthy and because I deserve that, because I love myself. So this wasn't a diet, this became a lifestyle, and it became part of my identity. So even when I didn't feel it, I had to see myself as this version. I had to see myself as the version of me that was fit and healthy, that went to the gym, that ate healthy. I had to ignore what was going on in my 3D reality, that I didn't have the body that I wanted, that I didn't have these healthy habits. And I had to decide that I was going to embody this new, brand new version of myself. Because you don't just wake up one day and become a healthy version of yourself. You have to take small steps every single day to build her. And the biggest lesson for me in all of this, and this goes for any area of life, small steps compound over time. There's a saying that you can just be 1% better every day, and I believe in that so much, and that is what fueled my transformation. Just trying to do the smallest, most gradual, gentle steps every day, because over time, before you know it, you've gone from here to here. And it really was consistency that led to change, not restriction, not crazy diets, not punishing myself with exercise. It was consistency of these small, gentle habits so that I could sustain my results and become this new, healthier, fitter version of myself. Let's talk about motivation versus discipline. So for me, we know heartbreak was a big catalyst that pushed me to start. That was my initial motivation. But guess what? Motivation is flaky. She is flaky. She is not going to be around all the time. So you have to build something underneath that. You have to build something that is stronger, more consistent, more sustainable, which is where discipline comes in. I had to push past that initial discomfort of not being bothered to go to the gym, not wanting to go to the gym, being too tired that day, wanting to just eat an unhealthy meal instead of something nourishing and healthy. I had to push past that initial discomfort in order to build the habits. Every single time I would honor myself by doing one of those things that was difficult, that was outside of my comfort zone, that was the harder option, it would get a little bit easier every single time. And then you just end up building this habitual behavior. And that's what helps keep you consistent. Even when motivation is nowhere to be found, you've built discipline and you've built habitual behavior, which is what will push you through those difficult times. And let me tell you, you build such a magical, positive relationship with yourself every time you push yourself to do something that you don't want to do, but you know is best for you. You literally build so much respect for yourself. And I honestly feel like that's what pushed me into this place of self-love. And then it was like this cycle of I'm doing things that are difficult, that I don't want to do, but they're making me feel good. And that is making me respect myself more for pushing past that initial pain. It makes me want to do the difficult things that I know are good for me. So it's literally like this vicious cycle, but positive, of doing difficult things and that being reinforced by the love and respect that you build with yourself. And then guess what? You start to believe that you deserve to live a healthy life, that you deserve to fuel your body with nourishing food, that you deserve to go to the gym and move your body and honor your body in that way because it feels good. So now you start creating this healthy life and becoming the best version of yourself. And I just want to say as well, if you do fall off, or if you have like a week or a couple of weeks, it happens to me all the time, where you don't want to work out or you kind of fall off on the healthy eating. That is completely okay. Can we just please normalize that? Because I think what can happen is you have like one bad meal and then it turns into a bad day of eating, and then it turns into a bad week, and then it turns into not going to the gym, and you can just spiral down and down and down, and it can be really hard to get out of that. So I am very gentle with myself, and I would recommend that you are as well. You know, if you fall off and you kind of make a mistake where you miss the gym one day, or you have an unhealthy meal, that is completely okay, and you have to forgive yourself, because this all or nothing mindset can be what just sets you on an even more downward spiral. Whereas if you fall off and you forgive yourself and it's okay, you know that you can get straight back on for the next meal or the next day or the next workout, and it's not a big deal. No matter how far you've strayed, no matter how far you've fallen off, you can always make that decision to get back on the healthy path that is most aligned with the highest version of you. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the practical part of exactly what I ate and what workouts I did. So let's talk food. Now, when most people want to lose weight or go on a fitness transformation, a lot of you probably think about taking things away from your diet and restricting yourself. Some people even cut out whole food groups. For me, that's a complete no. It could never be me. I do not relate. I don't want to do that, okay? I love food. I love all different kinds of food, healthy, unhealthy. I could never cut out foods that I love, okay? And one thing that really helped me was to stop thinking about taking things away and think about adding things to my meals, to my diet. And by this, I mean adding protein, fiber, and fat to each meal. I found that if you add these 3 elements to a meal, it makes it such a more balanced, rounded meal, and it keeps you full. It keeps you full for so much longer, gives you so much more energy. And then guess what? You're not snacking. You're not picking up a random chocolate bar at 3 p.m. in the afternoon because you need that bit of energy. No, because you are full from the meals that you've created for yourself. I'll give you a little example. When I was first trying to lose weight, when I went through the binge restrict cycle and the weight fluctuation cycle, I would eat like 2 eggs for breakfast, okay? And that would be my breakfast. Now, we know this is not enough. As women, we're supposed to have 30 grams of protein for breakfast. That is the ideal that you want to aim for. And 2 eggs is not enough. That's about 14 grams of protein. So I was only getting half the amount of protein that I needed and not having enough fat, not having enough fiber to make myself feel full. And then, of course, before lunch has even come around, I'm snacking, I'm hungry, I'm grabbing something while I'm out, and I'm adding more calories to my day than I would have been if I was just eating a full, nutritious, balanced meal for breakfast. So instead of just having those 2 eggs on their own, 2 eggs, it's a great start. We have got some protein there, but to really up the protein, what you could do is add some egg whites or even an extra egg and make it into a little omelette. Sometimes I would add some mozzarella cheese into that omelette, and that's some nice healthy fat to have in there as well. You could also add some avocado, or I really like almonds and walnuts. They're really good sources of fat as well. And then for fiber, you could fry up some mushrooms on the sides, and you could add some sourdough. That's good for fiber, and it's quite good for your gut as well. And it also adds some carbs in, because you know what? I've actually realized I'm just not myself when I haven't had carbs, okay? I love carbs. I love pasta, pizza, all of them. So if I want to add some sourdough to my breakfast, I will. There doesn't need to be any guilt around carbs. We literally need carbs for energy. So do you see, by kind of adding the fat, the fiber, the protein, and making sure that those 3 elements are hit, it makes your meal so much more balanced, and it's going to mean that you're fuller for longer and you have more energy and you just function better. On a morning as well, I will often add fruit to my meal. Like, don't be afraid to mix sweet and savory if you want to. I'll usually like have some blueberries, some raspberries on the side, which is really good for fiber, and you've got loads of antioxidants as well. And sometimes if I really want to boost the protein and I'm having quite a heavy gym session, I'll have like a protein yogurt or some fat-free Greek yogurt on the side as well. When it comes to calorie counting, it's not something that I religiously do. I think when you're first starting your journey, if you don't really know what's in certain foods and you want to get a general idea, then it can be helpful at the start of the journey. But to be honest, I just focus on the amount of protein that I'm getting in each meal. Say that you're supposed to aim for the equivalent of your body weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you're supposed to eat 100 grams of protein, and that's kind of a good way to work it out. And that's not me hating on calorie counting. I know for some people it can really work very successfully. For others, it can be a very obsessive and unhealthy thing. So you just really need to figure out what's best for you with regards to that. I think prioritizing nourishing, whole, single ingredient foods is such a cheat code. Like, it sounds so simple, but it's definitely the best way to fuel your body and to really see results. But also you do have to kind of weigh in that that's not always possible. Sometimes having a protein shake to hit your protein goal and be energized and get enough calories in can be more helpful than trying to make like 3 steaks a day. So you just kind of have to weigh up, you know, nourishing whole foods as much as you can with also the convenience and time saving aspect of having meals that might be easier to make but might not be as nourishing. So just weigh it up and do what's best for you. I also just want to say one caveat. I will always, if I want to have a donut, I will have a donut. If I want to eat a pizza, I will eat a pizza. I eat pasta multiple times a week. I never, ever, ever restrict myself. I never stop myself going for a meal out or feel like I have to order the healthiest thing on the menu to stick to my goals. Because I think when you restrict yourself in that way and you don't allow yourself to have the donut, what ends up happening, you go on this satisfaction hunt, maybe you have like a lower calorie version and it never quite hits the same spots, then you end up eating more just so that you can then have the donut in the end, and you do end up having it anyway. So I just think if you want a donut, have a donut. If you want to eat something that's deemed unhealthy, that's okay. Don't punish yourself. Literally just have it. Remember, this has to fit with your lifestyle. You don't want to see it as just like a quick fix, like a diet that you're going to do this diet and then you're going to go straight back to your old ways. It has to be manageable within your lifestyle. Let's face it, you're never going to not eat pizza again. You're never not going to have a donut again or a nice dessert or a chocolate cake or whatever. So add it into your diet as a way to enjoy it. I promise you, you can still achieve whatever your fitness goals are by still having the foods that you love. It's just about being intentional with making sure that your diet is overall nourishing and balanced and still making room for these little sweet treats every now and again. So now we're on to workouts. My little rule that I've always stuck to throughout this whole journey is just to move every day. Now this is a lot easier for me because I have a dog, so it's just very deeply ingrained in my routine to walk him every day. Of course, if I don't walk him, who's going to walk him? He can't walk himself. So no matter what happens, no matter how many days off the gym I've had or how far I've fallen off, or even if I'm ill or whatever, I'm always taking my dog on a walk. So I would recommend finding a non-negotiable activity that's easy, that on the days where you really can't manage the gym or can't manage a workout, you can still do. Aside from walking is amazing because you're out in the sun, you're getting vitamin D. Well, I mean, in England it's raining a lot of the time, so not always necessarily, but you're still outside in the fresh air, which is amazing. But another great one is yoga. Now, there are so many amazing YouTube videos for yoga, some that are like more intense, some that are more chill and easygoing. There's some bedtime ones that you can literally just do from bed. So on the days where you really don't feel like movement or anything crazy is an option, that can be a really good way to still make sure that you're moving your body a little bit, checking in with how you feel, and just getting some of those endorphins to help you feel a little bit better. So onto my workout split. Now, when it comes to workouts, I keep it so ridiculously simple, and I honestly think that that's the best way. Like, you don't need to be doing all of these fancy, crazy things like doing a handstand on like the bars and all of this crazy stuff. Like, no, I just keep my workouts so simple. I've done like the same pretty much exercises for like the whole time that I've been going to the gym. Because I used to dance when I was younger, I do know my body quite well, and I really know what works for me. So it is just a case of being in tune with yourself and figuring out what's best for you. But on an ideal week, and let me caveat that, not every week is an ideal week. Some weeks I'll be busy, some weeks I'll be away. I'm not always able to stick to this. I start with a lower body day, then I have a chest day, then I have an active rest day, and boy do I need it. Another lower body day, then back day, and then another active rest day. And I kind of keep this same cycle of the 6 days, and then it gives me 1 day a week just in case I don't manage to do anything that day. On my active rest days, this is super easy. All I do is an incline walk on the treadmill for about half an hour and some sprints after. I train abs every day, so I still train my abs. I've been loving doing decline ab exercises at the moment. Those have been like really hitting the spot for me recently. And also weighted abs, I've noticed a really big difference as well. That's like a massive trend at the moment. But that's basically how I spend an active rest day, because I'm still getting in the gym. I'm still getting that habit of going to the gym in there. My lower body days, which are my absolute favorite workouts to do, I do 4 exercises. 3 of those are compound movements. 1 is an isolation movement. By compound movement, I mean an exercise that does target your lower body, but it still uses muscles from all over your body. Isolation movement is just targeting one area of your body. For every exercise, I do 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps until failure. And I lift as heavy as I can, which does change depending on maybe what time of the month it is, how I'm feeling. I tend to try and progressively overload. So I try and increase the weight a little bit each week. I start with hip thrusts, then I do RDLs, then I do Bulgarian split squats, and then I do cable kickbacks. And I also do sometimes the cable kickbacks that are like to the side as well, like where your leg goes out to the side, just as an additional extra. And you think it doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly, that workout kills me off every time. And because I'm progressively overloading, so adding a little bit of extra weight each week, it really has increased my strength so much, to the point where like, I can't believe that I just started with doing a hip thrust with like just the bar or even less weight than that, and now I'm doing like hundreds of kg. Like, that's crazy to me, and it really just makes you feel so proud of yourself. And then chest day, I do things like chest presses, I do the chest flies, that one. I do one that's like in the middle. On back days, I'm trying to like get a pull up, but I'm not quite there yet, so I just kind of hang on the bar. I do lat pull downs, I do face pulls, any of those kind of movements that really target the back. For each session, I'll do like a 5-minute jog on the treadmill just to warm my body up. Then I get my synovial fluid in my joints popping by like doing these kind of motions, and basically just rotating the joint in the socket gets the fluid, the synovial fluid in there, and it lubricates your joints. So it makes the lifting and everything go a lot smoother and protects your joints. Have a light stretch, very, very light, nothing dramatic before I do start lifting. After my lifting session, now because I'm a dancer, I know how important stretching is. So I will literally stretch for like half an hour, sometimes even more. Also always do abs at the end of every session as well before I stretch. And the final point that I will make on training and workouts, this is specifically for my ladies that have a menstrual cycle out there. So we want to be training with our cycle, because this really changed the game for me. Men have it a lot different to us. So their hormones reset every 24 hours, their testosterone peaks and goes down, and they are basically the same person every day. Whereas for us women, we're on a 28-day on average hormonal cycle. So every single week, we're a different person. We enter a new season. So we start with our menstrual phase, which is like our inner winter. This is when we are having our period, when our energy is very, very low. In this phase, I always take as much rest as needed. Sometimes I'll just be doing yoga in this phase. Sometimes I will just be doing my walk, and I never beat myself up about that because our body needs to rest in this phase. Then we enter our follicular phase, and this is our inner spring. This is when we're feeling so good. This is when the high intensity workouts feel really, really great. And this is when I love to be lifting heavy in the gym. Like, honestly, for me, there is nothing better than a follicular workout. I feel so strong, so powerful, just feeling amazing. Then we go into our inner summer, which is ovulation. This is also a time for intensity, heavier workouts. This is the time where I sometimes might even add going for a run just because I feel so amazing. And we enter the luteal phase, which is our inner autumn, where everything starts to feel a bit heavy. There's a lot more overthinking going on. We can feel a little bit more tired and irritable. And for me, this is the perfect phase to incorporate something like Pilates. I'm loving Reformer Pilates at the moment, so I might book one of those classes just to still get my movement in, but be gentle with myself. And I definitely focus on either lowering the weight or sometimes not doing weight training altogether in this phase. So don't see your hormonal cycle as a burden. See it as something that you can work with and to empower you to make the most of the different benefits that come in each phase. And this is something that I really want to explore more and talk more about on my channel. So let me know if you have any specific topics that you want me to cover under this. So that is it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, because this transformation has been something that I've really wanted to share with you for such a long time. And I definitely have so much more that I can talk about in this. So please drop me a comment and let me know if this resonated with you, if you're on your own fitness journey, and if there's anything else that you want me to talk about in the next videos. I just want to remind you that this journey isn't about becoming a smaller version of yourself. It's about becoming stronger mentally and physically so that you can be the best version of you. And if you're feeling lost right now, please don't give up. If it's any consolation, I hope that my story reminds you that slow, gentle change can lead to real progress, and you can do this. I believe in you so much, and I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.